loyalty, I think, in sport is a dirty word because it's often thrown at players and not necessarily received in the way that they expect it to when it actually comes to, right, now is the time to show the loyalty and deliver the loyalty. So culture as a whole is so difficult to comprehend, but if we're working from that starting point of the other end of the spectrum of what you'd be looking for in an ideal team environment, what would your first practical steps be?
Oh man, you've covered so many things there. So many good points. Just on the loyalty thing, that is something that I think many fans don't appreciate. You know, they see players perhaps make decisions and they accuse the player of disloyalty without perhaps considering, well, you know, how much loyalty has that player experienced from ownership or whatever. And particularly as sport has become so much more commercial and there's so much more, like we spoke about talent ID and talent development, you're moving into a phase now where it's about brand ID and brand development in terms of the player. And that goes beyond the organization. So now you will have young players coming through an academy into a first team or into the NFL or whatever. They have a brand. And I think so that you've got that whole dynamic around it. With organizations that don't have that honesty and authenticity, you're never going to be truly successful. So you've got two options. You either have a huge turnover and you keep the myth going, or you change leadership. You've got this one or two. Those are the only two options if you want to keep it going. In some businesses, you can get away with it because you have two metrics. I'm trying to use the best example so I don't throw anybody necessarily under the bus. But if you actually, the Deloitte financial report just came out this morning looking at, you know, European soccer and the Premier League. If you look at wins, losses, so what metrics are, say, Premier League teams measured by? Are they measured by wins and losses or profit and loss? And there's no correlation between the two. So what's the goal for the organization? Like, so when you sit down, what's the goal? Is it profit and loss? Is it debt? Or is it wins and losses? There's no correlation. Same in the NFL, actually. The top 5 most valuable teams, I think, are the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants. I think the 49ers are up there, the Patriots. Like, I think there's only 4 of them have won a Super Bowl since God was a carpenter. You know what I mean? So there's no correlation between value and success. So what is the metric? Is the metric winning, or is it the value of the team, the brand? So it's an interesting thing for people just to keep in mind.
That's fascinating. And nothing frustrates me more than how little understanding is given to the inner workings of the organizations that people idolize or pedestalize. Great example.
You have a better understanding than many people I've spoken to.
Well, it's something. It's always what's annoyed me about football or soccer, depending on what side of the world you're on.